Speaking of the Pac-12, that's a perfect segue. Look at that, Carter, come through for me.
Just what I'm doing.
Arizona. We had Arizona back in action tonight. They didn't really want to play defense until the second half, but once they kind of turned it on, they ran away from Washington. They ended up winning by 16. Benedict Mathurin had 27 points. Dalen Terry came about as close to a triple-double as you can get without getting. I think he had 13, 11, and 9 tonight. Where do you guys stand on this team? It's hard to know. It's hard to know what the other contenders in the Pac-12 are because UCLA and USC have both been on a pause for what feels like the entire season.
Right.
But where do you stand on this Arizona team, what they are this season and what they could be moving forward?
I mean, we talked about that Tennessee game. I thought they had a hell of an impression against that. They got some tough calls and a lot of bad whistles going against them, but I like them. They got some size. They got some. I mean, Benedict is the real deal. I mean, he's a guy that can etch into this conversation that we're talking about as far as player of the year. I mean, he's putting up numbers. They're going to have to defend a little better, I mean, than they have on a consistent basis, but they compete. I mean, they have what you want. I mean, Koloko is been a force inside defensively, and they got scoring. They got enough guys that can score the basketball, so they're well coached. I mean, the cupboard wasn't bare. We talked about that. We teased Sean about that, but I mean, I like the team. I think they got a chance of going, making a deep run. They got some depth with them. We'll see. I mean, we just don't know what the Pac-10 is going to present, what options is going to be. What threats are there besides USC and UCLA? We know the UCLA is legit. But outside of that, we don't know who else they're going to play.
Hey, Carter, did you hear that Pac-10 reference in there?
I did hear that. I know it was going to be you who's going to say it or me, but I did hear the Pac-10 reference. No, but with this Arizona team, like we talked about them all year. It's been impressive. I mean, like RC said, even in that Tennessee game, I thought it was impressive even, in a loss because the way they competed, they were down, they were on the road, tough calls going their way. It was still impressive as a team. Tommy Lloyd, I mean, I think should be in every conversation for coach of the year right now. I think how he has that team playing is pretty impressive, especially, just having them all play together. And they're just so fun and they compete every single night. But I will say, just because UCLA is on pause doesn't mean you should forget about the Bruins. The Bruins are still a really good team. They fall into that area of teams that are really good. Like people mentioned the Dukes. They were mentioning Purdue. Probably not going to do it as much. Duke, Gonzaga, but UCLA falls into that category of teams that are really good that get kind of overlooked. Like people don't mention Kansas as much as I think they should. And I don't think they mention UCLA as much as I think they should. This is a team that's returning
they haven't
Final
played,
Four run.
Like it's been forever. Played. They don't play.
I'm just, what are they? Okay, so because they had COVID, we're holding it against them. They're still really good.
No, you're right, but you got to see him play. They got to get back on the court. And
we always talk about
hold on real quick, RC, for the record. Breaking news coming from Matt Norlander. UCLA's game Wednesday against Arizona State is off because Arizona State has COVID, which is just, we're never going to see UCLA play again.
God damn.
They got an inner squad scrimmage.
Stay out of the Tempe streets. We want to see them hoop.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know who they're going to, how long has it been? Has it been about 2-3 weeks with those guys?
I think it's been longer. I'm gonna figure it out right now. The last game that they played, December 11th against Marquette. So
right now, you both are picking Arizona to win Pac-12.
I think that I probably would, simply because we've seen what happens with teams that come off of COVID pauses at the start. Like it takes you a little while to kind of get your legs back and get into game shape. It's almost, I don't want to say it's like restarting your season, but it's not like you're jumping back into it in midseason form. And Arizona right now is in midseason form. So I think that is an advantage for three teams that are all right there. So that's why I would probably pick Arizona at this point. But it's all going to come down to what happens when they play. We're probably looking at a situation where those three teams are going to be like 18-2, 17-3, 16-4, depending on what they do in their head-to-heads. And can we just hope, please, if there's anyone from the Pac-12 listening, make sure we get all of those games made up. College basketball needs UCLA, Arizona. Again, I
don't know how they do it though. Once we get into January and conference play starts, I mean, you get one makeup game. Like, when did you make it up?
Well, I mean UCLA and Arizona. Like, how far is Arizona from Los Angeles? Right, like it's only like a 2-hour drive. Just send the bus over there for one weekend. Cancel.
Well, you talking about that particular game?
No one wants to see them play Oregon State. Just get rid of that.
Someone said this to me before. I don't know.
When we say make up, we mean make up the Pac-12 games people want to see. You can keep the Oregon State games.
But someone said this to me. Ty Stedney said this to me years ago, and I don't know if this has changed. But they fly commercial. So are they still doing that?
Some schools still are. Some schools are now flying charters in the Pac-12, but that was part of the issue that UCLA had when they were looking to hire coaches, is that they weren't chartering, which is like, it's UCLA. Like that. How are you not chartering when you're UCLA?
But I was blown away when he told me that, and I talked to most of the people in the conference, and he was like, we just fly commercial. We'll fly in, play the game, everyone stays. Then you book up the flights, and I'm like, wow. And so I only say that to say, if that's the case now, that makes it even more difficult to reschedule the games.
Yeah, RC's been spending living that PJ life for too long, man. He can't slumber with us and coach anymore.
I was gonna say, he has no Spirit tickets in his Apple Wallet, nothing like that.
Nah.
Only the finest flights.
Nah.
Now I have a real question though, RC. So Tommy Lloyd gets in at Arizona and takes over with a new team, a new coaching staff, a brand new style of play. Like how difficult is that to do? To come in and get these guys that you didn't recruit, that you didn't bring to the program, that probably don't really have too much of a relationship with you, to get them to buy in and start playing at this level this quickly?
I think the big thing for him is coming from Gonzaga, right? And it's been an elite program. So he's coming in with a level of credibility where these guys are like, all right, this guy's done it. Sometimes it's more difficult when it happens when you're a mid-major program, or you're I call it flavor of the month coach, when you've done well at a lower level conference. And then you come up, the guys are like, all right, some people will start saying, well, you haven't done it at this level. Well, he's coming from Gonzaga. So there was a level of success there that's been among the best programs in the last 4 or 5 years. So I think coming through the door, he had a level of credibility with the recruiting and the players that they had at Gonzaga that kind of gave him the cachet to walk through the door and say, hey, just let's try it this way, and you get buy-in. And Arizona's a transfer destination as well. With the portal opening up right now, I mean, that's not a bad place to transfer in. And so there are always going to be a place now that if you're a top player in the country now, you're going to look at Arizona.
Yeah. And what else?
I think I was just going to say, I think another good part about it is also the style of play that he's kind of implementing. It makes it a little easier to buy in. You know what I'm saying? If he was coming there and trying to, instill like a Virginia offense or something like that, then there might be a little backlash to it. But sometimes change is good. Like, you know what I'm saying? You get a little bit of change, you get a little new offense, you get to do freedom. They're playing defense, they're getting on and running, they're competing, they're talking shit. That's a lot of fun, so it makes it a little easier to buy into a concept like that. Yeah,
they are fourth nationally in pace. They are first nationally in offensive possession length. All they want to do is run. It's fun to play. And I'll tell you, what else really helps? They won their first game by 29. They won their second game by 54. They won their third game by 52. Then they went and they beat Wichita State in overtime. Then they went and they beat Michigan. Shout out to Greg Waddell by 18 points. So when you have that success, you're playing a fun style. You have that success, and it's a guy that has won a lot of games. Like that makes the job a little bit easier for you to listen to.
They're dangerous because he lets those guys play. He gives them confidence to shoot. We talked about this after the Tennessee game. They shoot like I did, actually, a little bit too much confidence at times, and that's a great thing. And so those guys are always going to be in games because they're going to take shots that, whether we think they're good or bad, they're going to take them anyway, and they're going to force the pace. But when they're making shots, they're going to be a tough out.
I got to say, I am shocked that RC would like playing for a coach that let him shoot.
Everyone loves playing for a coach that lets them shoot. You got to shoot. Hey, part of shooting, coming from a shooter myself, is confidence. Now, I'm not a good shooter, but I'm confident as hell when I let it fly. Now, it doesn't go in all the time, but out of my hand, I think it's going in. That's part of it. So that's what you see with this Arizona team. And I know it's not tracked, but I guarantee you, if you go back and look at the film, this Arizona team leads the country in getting a bucket and letting the team know that they just got a bucket too. And that's just fun. Kurt Kriisa, I love that dude. He's the best.
Yeah, they got a lot of guys that know that they're good. And I like it when guys, and look, RC, we know what it's like to let people know about that.
I don't mind a little talking. You guys know that. I don't mind talking at all. The more the merrier.